Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the verified reports surrounding the 2026 FIFA World Cup. You know, it's widely celebrated as the absolute pinnacle of global sports, right? But away from the flashing cameras and the cheering crowds, there's a much more complex story playing out. We're going to critically examine the major controversies surrounding this massive tournament, relying strictly on publicly reported data. Let's get right into it. Look, it is incredibly easy to get swept away by the roaring crowds and the glowing headlines praising the athletes. We all love the magic on the pitch, but we also have to objectively examine the very real debates that have popped up off the pitch, things concerning fairness, access, and foundational human rights. Beneath that shiny surface, there's a growing tension. We're seeing intense debates around soaring ticket prices, questions about fair governance, political influence, the whole shebang. In this explainer, we're going to look closely at both sides of these issues to really understand the shadows forming behind the stadiums. Okay, to make sense of all this, we'll break these controversies down into four main themes. First up, the cost of fandom. Second, rights, borders, and politics. Third, controversies on the pitch. And finally, number four, the future of football. Starting with Section 1. The cost of fandom. Football for the rich. Right at the absolute core of the economic debate is this idea of dynamic pricing. On one hand, you've got supporters who felt completely priced out. They argue that because ticket costs surged automatically with demand, it transforms football into this out-of-reach luxury. But on the flip side, FIFA defended the costs purely economically. Their stance? Well, they state the pricing model is just a natural reflection of exceptionally high demand in the massive North American market. The sheer scale of commercialization here is undeniable. I mean, we're talking record revenues driven by broadcasting, huge sponsorships, high-end VIP hospitality, and of course, ticket sales. But this massive financial boom fuels a major fan concern. Supporters look at these billions of dollars and ask a totally fair question. In the relentless pursuit of higher profits and luxury experiences, is the basic accessibility of the sport being sacrificed? It's a classic textbook clash between maximizing commercial growth and keeping that grassroots accessibility alive. Moving right along to Section 2, rights, borders, and politics, expanding the pitch. So before a single ball was even kicked, major advocacy groups were sounding the alarm. Organizations like Amnesty International and the Sport and Rights Alliance urged FIFA to implement robust protections. They essentially stated that hosting a global event of this magnitude absolutely must come with stronger commitments to safeguarding human rights. And we're talking about the workers, the migrants, and the local communities making the whole thing possible. Think about it. When you build giant new infrastructure, manage massive crowds, and bring in international labor, the potential for exploitation naturally rises, which is exactly why these groups demanded unshakable commitments from the organizers. Plus, there's the whole logistical puzzle of the host nations. Navigating the immigration policies and visa rules of three separate countries created some pretty significant travel uncertainties for international supporters. Because this tournament spans the United States, Canada, and Mexico, fans weren't just dealing with a single border checkpoint. No, they were navigating three entirely distinct immigration systems. Strict visa rules and heightened security measures created a veritable labyrinth of uncertainty. Naturally, this sparked a massive debate about whether a tournament spread across these specific borders could truly offer equal, fair access to fans traveling from every corner of the globe. And this massive border expansion also brought serious scrutiny over political neutrality. You know how it is. Whenever the world's most powerful politicians associate closely with top sports executives, critics worry. They fear outside influence might damage the sport's independence. However, FIFA firmly counters this narrative. They maintain that their internal judicial and governance processes are highly regulated, asserting that they operate completely independently from any state or political influence. That brings us to Section 3, controversies on the pitch, refereeing debates. As with literally every World Cup, the people holding the whistles were under a giant microscope. We saw several teams openly questioning officiating, especially after those highly controversial slow-motion moments and red cards. But FIFA's refereeing department categorically rejected any claims of bias. They emphasized that match officials and video assistant referees followed their established procedures to the absolute letter. Still, football is a fluid, incredibly fast-paced game, and many of these split-second decisions will probably remain open to public debate forever. Finally, let's look at Section 4, the future of football. Losing touch with fans? Bringing all these threads together, we have to look at what this means for the sport moving forward. Football has historically been known as the people's game, right? Born on local grounds and city streets.
Critics argue that rising ticket costs and governance controversies are actively distancing the sport from ordinary supporters, basically locking them out. But FIFA counters that argument with hard data. They point to record attendance numbers and absolutely unprecedented global interest. Their argument is pretty straightforward. If the stadiums are packed to the brim and billions are watching worldwide, the tournament is an undisputed success. Whether these two competing views can ever really be reconciled is the great open question of modern sports.
So what does this all mean for us? Every great sporting event invites intense scrutiny, and questions about affordability, neutrality, and human rights are going to remain part of the conversation long after the final whistle blows. We have to ask, have dynamic pricing, complex borders, and governance debates completely overshadowed the magic of the goals? Or is this simply the unavoidable reality of coordinating a massive, multi-billion-dollar, three-country event in the modern era? Transparency and fair access might just dictate the next era of this beautiful game. So what's your big takeaway from this? Have the shadows grown too long, or does the brilliant light of the tournament still outshine them all?